started out on YouTube a decade ago, I've been able to talk about some of my favourite things like movies, games, TV shows, etc. But there's one thing, a true passion, that I've only alluded to a handful of times, despite the fact that it's the sole reason the Sketchy name exists in the first place. I am, of course, talking about the singer-songwriter Gene Pitney, who I've been a fan of since 1992. Which may not seem long ago for some, especially the older fans that have been there since the early days of his career, but please try to bear in mind that I was only just approaching 11 years old at the time and came from a home that had never listened to his music before. Had my father not bought a best-of CD for just one song, things could have been so different now. I've always loved music, but the first time I heard that CD, I knew I was hearing something very unique and just couldn't stop listening to it. Over 300 songs, countless albums, and 25 years later, that love and the way his voice can make my heart swell with so many emotions has only grown. I know. You're probably wondering then why I haven't made more videos beside the 2 tribute music videos that are on my channel. The thing is, thanks to the internet and the ability to chat with not only like-minded fans but also Gene himself on first the iMusic bulletin board and then, when that mysteriously disappeared, the official website's forum, I gained a support system and real genuine friends that I had never ever had up to that point in my life. Suddenly a singer who I'd only ever been able to admire through his music was a real person who showed me respect and support. It's too long and complex a story to explain who I was at that time or even the impact that group had on me, but when Gene suddenly and unexpectedly passed away while on tour here in the UK on April 5th, 2006, I was left with an all-consuming grief that has made trying to put together a video since an emotional nightmare. This intro alone has taken me 6 years to write because every time I've tried to put my thoughts down, no matter how good those memories are, the knowledge that there will never be another tour or interview or confused post by Gene on the forum about the correct lyrics for the song, more on that later, makes the loss too painful to think about. This year marked the 11th anniversary of that sad day though, and I finally want to be able to celebrate the amazing work of an unfortunately underrated musician. So over the course of the next year, hopefully sooner, but knowing how bad my scheduling is, I don't want to promise you anything too soon. I will be doing a series of videos looking at my favourite hit singles, albums, compositions, cover songs, and a list of those songs that are easily skippable and yet still have a lot of charm to them. To start with though, as you may have guessed from the title of the video, I wanted to present my top 15 all-time recordings. This was not only ridiculously difficult to narrow down because of the high quality of most songs, but because I want to look at my favourite UK chart tunes separately, I wanted to avoid putting as many of them here as possible, making some cuts almost painful. A couple did make it through the edit though. They had to, above all else. The point is, if you don't find a hit single here, it will more than likely be in the next video. Let's get cracking with this video though, shall we? Here are my top 15 Gene Pitney tracks.
You're my runaway lover. You left me to cry.
Our first entry is also the shortest and oldest track. Taken from the album Do What Delights, the Hartford Groups, this is one of 4 songs written and performed by Gene on the LP with local group The Embers. Choosing one of them was actually harder than I expected, as they are all well crafted, underappreciated gems. But the pace only driven by the rhythmic chip chip pa and almost imperceptible, ridiculously minimalistic brush and piano accompaniment in Runaway Lover is a testament to the power and arrangement of the voices involved.
If I know you, you'll find a brand new lover to call your own. But maybe, baby, when you finally see, I'll be walking with a new somebody.
Gene was heavily inspired by Clyde McPhatter at the time, and that's evident from the very nasal tone he uses here. Telling the tale of an abandoned lover who vows to find a way to move on, despite also acknowledging his heartbreak and misguided desire for the runaway to come back, it's just a fun little song that gets across the emotion without bogging itself down in the anger or sadness that would be prevalent in tracks of a similar ilk.
And I'll say, runaway lover, runaway lover, runaway lover.
They looked down from up above as I walked without a love, and all my loneliness they knew.
The song that teaches that if you're miserable and lonely for long enough, angels will one day smile down and deliver unto you the most perfect being on the planet. I'm kidding! I'm kidding! This is an absolutely beautiful ballad penned by Gene's manager Aaron Schroeder from 1963's Sings Just For You LP.
Your smile, your touch, my darling, how happy can I be? No greater gift, my darling, could they have given me.
I can't pin down exactly what makes me love this one so much, but like its fellow album track Tell the Moon to Go to Sleep, which just barely missed being on the list, the Angels got together is simply a perfect mesh of elements. Gene's soothing vocals that build to a powerful heartfelt crescendo, the heavenly choral backing and instrumentation, and the sweet romantic lyrics.
I bless the day the angels got together and gave me you. Where's the look I used to see? That loving look that meant so much to me. Wonder why I haven't seen it, even when you speak my name.
As I mentioned earlier, this list took some time to whittle down, but this song has easily caused me the most trouble. It's been on and off the list about a dozen times. There are so many songs that I thought I preferred much more than Where Did the Magic Go? But this is one of those quiet ones that gets under your skin and keeps niggling until you pay attention and notice its underrated beauty. Something you'll probably notice from most of the songs on this list is that I am a sucker for well-implemented orchestration, be it almost absent as in Runaway Lover, or complicated and multi-layered. In the case of Magic, there's something surprising about the arrangement. I don't know where the decision to give it a Mexican flair came from, but I dare you to not get sucked into the bass line and Gene's soft crooning and then swept away by the chorus's escalation before you realise that the lyrics are talking about the flame going out in a couple's relationship.
Where did all the magic go? What happened to the flame that burned so strong? Tell me what went wrong. Where's the girl I used to know? It's just a crying shame, I've loved you so. Seems I ought to know. Where did the magic go?
The first time I heard this song was on the B-side of the hits of It's Got a Hold of My Heart. And as amazing as that song is, I would easily rate this higher than it. I just find it that engrossing.
Where did the magic go? Where did the magic go? Where did the magic go? you're going my way.
This is another one of those songs that I can't explain why I love it so much, but I do. With a passion. Taken from the 10 Years Later album, which was released in 1971, my first encounter with the song was actually on a mixtape that was either a bootleg my dad had managed to find at the local market, or somebody made up for me, or I can't remember that detail exactly, but the cassette predominantly featured the standard hits. Then at the end, seemingly as an afterthought, were She Lets Her Hair Down, Summertime Dreamin', which only just missed being on this list by a whisker, another song I can't recall off the top of my head, and Stand By the One Who Loves Me. At the time I had only really heard the ballads from earlier in Gene's career, so to hear more upbeat, country-tinted tracks was a fascinating, mind-blowing experience.
Sooner or later I know that it's coming. Sooner or later I gotta stop running and stand by the one who loves me. Must be a man, fill my woman with pride. Stand by the one who loves me. All that I need is right there by her side. Gotta make up for the tears that she cried. Gonna be great to behold. Gotta get back.
Stuck with me about this song, beside the excellent arrangement, is that while it presents the loneliness and solitude of the narrator in the verses, the chorus builds to this hopeful, striving desire to return to what was regrettably left behind. I don't know, it just gives a fuzzy feeling inside and I love it.
I wanna stand by the one who loves me. Just be a man with my woman with pride. Stand by the one who loves me. All that I need is right there by her side. Gotta make up for the tears that she cried. Gonna be great to behold.
Palm trees reach out to the sky up above, surfing and swimming in a wonderland of love.
Hawaii, holding hands on the sand of Hawaii, my wahine and me.
The B-side to the 1964 hit It Hurts to Be in Love manages to somehow punch an enjoyable tale of fleeting romance into barely more than 2 minutes. Gene masterfully shifts between soft, tender reminiscing and rousing, joyful excitement, while the pounding drum and steel guitar twangs for added Hawaiian flavour keep your feet tapping along. Certainly a tonal shift from the hit I Must Be Seeing Things, which the trio of Cooper, Levin and Brass also penned.
All at once I found her tender lips on mine. Love was sweet, but we were running out of time. One last embrace, and then goodbye. It broke my heart to see her cry.
There's not much else to say about this one. It's just a really fun and seriously underrated classic.
Will her arms welcome me to Hawaii? Hawaii, Hawaii. Well, things have been going wrong long enough to know when everything's just right. I've been walking in the dark long enough to know when I finally seen the light.
Written by Jeff Barry, Walkin in the Sun feels a lot like most of Gene's other tracks from the 70s. Fun, optimistic, country-flavoured jaunts. And trust me, that's by no means a complaint. You'll see over the series of videos that most of my favourite recordings are from that decade. But, for me, it just has a je ne sais quoi that makes it stand out.
And I've seen enough bad times to know when the good times have begun. Oh Lord, because
until making this list that Barry actually recorded his own version, and while it is really nice and very relaxed, definitely worth checking out if you can find it, Gene's version, which is paced a little faster, has that punch I feel the lyrics need, and it builds and builds, giving the feeling that the narrator is starting to believe his own words, and that we should too.
I've been running long enough to know when there's no more need to run. Oh no, even the blind man can tell when he's walking in the sun. Saying even the blind man can tell when he's walking in the sun. Stay, darling, stay, just like this, stay this way.
I'm sorry, but holy shit, this song is so beautiful and underrated that it genuinely makes me want to cry sometimes. And even more frustratingly, to the best of my knowledge, it can only be found on one LP and an imported CD collection. Just why?
In my arms, in my heart, never one breath apart, the whole night through I'll be here, holding you oh so near.
Released in 1968, it actually feels reminiscent of Gene's hits I'm Gonna Be Strong and Yours Until Tomorrow. It starts out soft with a steady guitar undertow and builds to a crescendo with the familiar powerful final note. This song stuck with me so much when I first heard it on the Big 16 Volume 3 album that when my English teacher at school asked us to find a song that would fit a scene and characters in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, this was the one that instantly sprung to my mind for the leads. What can I say? I was 13 or 14, totally shipping Mulder and Scully on the X-Files and an all-round complete sap. Somehow, in only 2 minutes and 15 seconds, it manages to retain an innocence. The 1950s big orchestral ballad style intro and lyrics that never allude to anything more than kissing, while also, bizarrely, being as romantic and steamy as Take Me Tonight.
We have loved you and I never speak of goodbye.
I just wish it was more commercially available so that people could have discovered it sooner.
Darling, stay. When I find Aladdin's lamp someday,
Yes.
Help me.
Alright.
I'll rub the lamp and when the smoke clears away.
When I originally started writing this list, I wanted to avoid putting any tracks on that could fit into any of my other video countdowns. No covers, no hits, no self-penned recordings. Walkin in the Sun I wasn't aware had already been recorded by its composer until I started researching for this. But as I said in the intro, I knew that I would have to break my own rule a couple times because I could not, in all good conscience, not recognise some songs as my all-time favourites just because of a stupid category restriction. 1963's Aladdin's Lamp is one such song. Written by Gene and released as the B-side to I'm Gonna Be Strong, my first exposure to this gem was on the first ever LP I owned, Big 16 Volume 1.
I've heard that in days of old, the lamp did whatever it was told. And so when I find that thing, I'm wishing her
undeniably catchy earworm that somehow manages to make the otherwise think about it too much and its really creepy tale of wishing that somebody only has eyes for you really sweet and innocent.
I'll ask for her lips, her arms. I've gotta hold her tight. Oh, tell me where on earth is Aladdin's lamp tonight?
If I had to have one tiny, insignificant nitpick, it's that the backing singers get a little annoying after the 5th repetition. But I think it's very much a product of its own time in that regard, and the catchy Herc and Burt Kampfer-esque bouncy strings instrumental always make me smile and sing out loud every single time it comes on my music player.
Oh, tell me where on earth is Aladdin's lamp tonight?
Alright. Tonight. Alright. Tonight. Dabba-dum. Dabba-dum.
Please don't look at me with hungry lips. No, 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 please don't thrill me with your fingertips. No, no, no.
Speaking of catchy earworms, Non-Responsible takes the term and ramps it up to 11 with about 1,000 times as much energy. Also from the Big 16 LP, this track has an intricate and perfectly mixed cacophony of layered harmony and backing singers, expertly emulating the feeling of celebration and wildness the narrator is expressing in the lyrics.
Well, once again now, when you look at me with loving eyes, yeah, 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 you take me so close to paradise. Well, well, now please don't tempt me with your special charms, or I'll just fall into your arms.
While researching for this video, I learned that Helen Shapiro also recorded it the same year, and while her version is good, it sounds very similar to a lot of other cabaret easy listening pop songs of the late 50s, early 60s, whereas Gene's release just skims the outer edges of the rock genre, and if I didn't know what album it was from, I might have easily guessed it was from much later in the decade.
And then I'm not responsible, not responsible. I can't answer for the things I do when I'm standing up. Not responsible, not responsible. I'm so in love with you. But one time now.
To me, there's just something slightly surreal and off about some of the arrangement in a good way that reminds me a lot of tracks by the Animals. Oh baby, that's just the title.
Let me tell you just one more time. Not responsible, no, not responsible. I can't answer for the things I Love grows, yeah, love still grows.
Penned by the same guys behind Gene's hit Something's Got Hold of My Heart, and found on 1968's strong album Pitney Today, Love Grows, much like Stay, starts soft, slow, but then builds into this rolling, unpredictable wave that sweeps you along with it and leaves you almost breathless if you're not singing it out loud, which I dare you not to.
But baby, oh where has gone love and care? It was good only yesterday when you led me to believe that love couldn't die, only to deceive me and leave me wondering why. You're going, you're going, you're going.
In fact, this song is a prime example of why I get so frustrated with my biggest pet peeve. People that think all they have to do is make some kind of nyeh sound and they're automatically doing a perfect impersonation of Mr. Pitney's singing.
Raindrops falling from heaven. Hello, Gene. Would never let your money head of phone.
Love Grows, with its many different levels of depth and intensity, shows that Gene's vocals were far more complex than that, while also exhibiting the calibre of Cook and Grenaway's songmanship.
For me, love that's here within my heart can never end, can only grow stronger. You have only got to say the words and I will bend to make it last longer. If I had to face the future without you, I don't know what I'd do. Love grows, yeah, love still grows. The wheels of my old car are turning, burning up the highway. Tonight that girl of mine will be yearning for not learning to see things my way.
First in my final top 5 is a song that sounds great in any language. Penned by Elgin, Milrose and Bruno, Last Chance to Turn Around peaked at number 13 in the US Billboard charts, but sadly, criminally, never had any chart success here in the UK, or anywhere else from what I could find. Using the standard verse-chorus structure to tell the tale of a guy who's been cheated on and isn't sticking around to put up with it anymore, where the song shines, besides Gene's performance, is in its arrangement. Its driving rhythm, hustle-bustle sound and well-implemented backing vocals accompaniment.
She swore that she was mine alone, our love would never die. I'm leaving now for parts unknown, I saw her with that guy. That's the reason why I'll be passing by.
Okay, clearly I don't have a clever or insightful explanation for why I love Last Chance so much. The aforementioned points are true, but I don't feel they, or anything really, concisely pinpoint why whenever the track comes on, I can't resist singing or air drumming along and enjoying all 185 seconds of it. It's simply that infectious.
Last exit to Brooklyn, last chance to turn around, last exit to Brooklyn. Gonna keep these wheels of mine covering ground.
And seriously, what I said at the beginning? Check out the Italian and Spanish versions if you get the chance.
La notte dei sorrisi verrà nel momento che tu, prendendomi la mano, dirai: io forse ti amerò, io ti amerò, io ti amerò.
The German one's okay, but certainly not as strong as the others. Also worth listening to over and over again are Gene's live renditions with either Maurice Mary or Gary Rue's amazing arrangements.
Now last exit to Brooklyn, gonna keep these wheels of mine covering ground, gonna keep these wheels of mine covering ground, covering ground. I get a feeling I'm not used to when you're lying close to me.
So, a quick story relating to this one. Many years ago, there was the legendary Name the Song thread that a group of us fans kept resurrecting every time the forum migrated or experienced technical issues. The title of the game said it all. Somebody would quote a line from a song, everybody would guess the answer, and whoever got it right would submit a new lyric. It was fun. We would all have a good laugh guessing and discussing songs, and when Gene took the time to get involved, we knew we had stiff competition. Now, I can't remember exact specifics like who did what, and for some reason the higher ups couldn't be bothered to keep the official site online, or at least let me, the forums mod, know what was going on so that I could make an archive of everything. So unfortunately I can't go back and check through the thread. Anyway, somebody put a lyric from Morning in April up. Either I was that person or guessed it, but it brought up the fact that there was a line in the song I was not too clear on at the time. There were a number of very different suggestions from fans, but nobody seemed able to offer up a definitive answer. When Gene stepped in, I thought we might finally get it, but even his reply was along the lines of, I really can't remember what it is. I'm now much more sure of what the lyric actually is, and the song would have been on this list whether I'd had this memory or not. But it makes me smile to think back on, and I thought it would be fun to relay to people who didn't get to experience the silliness. Anyway, why have I put Morning in April at number 4? Plain and simple, it's beautiful. No, correct that. It's f***ing beautiful.
Like a band. The angels singing something low. I can feel your love inside of me everywhere I go. Don't you know?
The soft opening, melodic piano and heavenly horn accompaniments and rousing chorus all gel together to make something that not only brings a lump to my throat, but also a song that stands out from the other exceptionally great bronze release tracks of the 70s.
And it's warm as a morning in April, soft as a midnight in July, cool as a lily on the water, gentle as the light on the side. And it's warm as a morning in April. Can I cry a little bit? There's nobody to notice it.
Sadly, Randy Newman has become a punchline to jokes in modern times, but I think there are a few who would argue against his ability to write excellent songs, and there was enough forgotten time in his career back in the 60s when that was pretty much all he was known for. In 1966, Gene recorded 2 of Newman's compositions, and both became hits here in the UK. June seeing Nobody Needs Your Love peak at number 2, making it Gene's 3rd highest ranking UK hit, and then in November, Just One Smile was surprisingly thwarted from reaching any higher than the number 8 spot, despite, in my opinion, being the much stronger and emotionally charged track.
Just one smile, the pain's forgiven. Just one kiss, the hurt's all gone. Just one smile to make my life worth living. A little dream to build my world upon.
Admittedly, it had strong competition in the likes of the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations and the Spencer Davis Group's Gimme Some Lovin', keeping it from the top. And aside from both releases of Something's Gotten Hold of My Heart, this would be the last top 10 hit he would have as music trends changed. But still, what Newman has created here is a cleverly versatile song that is obviously telling the tale of pain and loneliness from lost love, but can also be easily interpreted for any situation that leaves you feeling bereft, abandoned or isolated. As somebody who suffers with depression, I can unequivocally attest to how every lyric mirrors my daily plea to the universe, that one smile really can be all you need to help you get through the day.
I don't ask for much. when your whole world is dying.
What Mr. Pitney then does, as if the media's Prince of Pain moniker for him needed proving any more, is make every line drip with raw, heart-wrenching emotion in a way that not even the Tokens' original or Dusty Springfield's cover can. Seriously, even if you couldn't understand the words, I guarantee you'd be swept up and torn apart by every ounce of torture in his voice. I dare you to get to the end and not be reaching for those hankies. It is easily my favourite hit single, and it makes me sad that it performs so poorly in the international charts.
Just one smile, the pain's forgiven. Oh, just one kiss, now the hurt's all gone. Just one smile to make my life. Yesterday I was so sad, like a baby without a toy. Like a bird with broken wings, like a girl without a boy.
The runner-up spot on this list goes to 1966's In Love Again, aka Innamorato. AKA, I'm still confused whether one title is preferably used with one language version or the other. I mean, even the composer is listed under a completely different name. Instead of disappearing down that confusing rabbit hole though, let's instead focus on the true awesomeness of this song, which I wouldn't have admitted to loving if you'd asked me about it 20 years ago. You see, whereas my appreciation of Morning in April and its placement on this list were not affected by memories connected to it, the same definitely cannot be said for this. Don't get me wrong, it still would have featured, but it certainly wouldn't have rocketed up to second place. And if you're wondering why I'm trying to make bad, awkward jokes about this, it's for the plain and simple reason that there's a high probability that I'm going to get choked up over this one. So please bear with me. So how did I gain even more love for this already fun song? Blame my father. He became a massive fan of the song after overhearing me playing it. So in 1999, when Gene was visiting our hometown as part of his UK tour, my dad decided to send another of his wordy cards backstage declaring how I would give anything for the song to be performed on stage. Now, my number one song, which I promise we will get to eventually in a few minutes, was already in the running order, so as long as that never got dumped, I was happy. But no. Gene read this card out on stage, I was the one made out to look as if I was demanding a song, and then, as I sat there slumped down in my chair feeling exceptionally embarrassed, I heard Gene utter the words, "I have an idea, let's see what Natasha looks like," and I was called up to the stage. Of course, this was an amazing thing, and I'd been desperately waiting for the opportunity to make up for the mute idiot I'd made myself out to be when I'd previously been called up to the stage 5 years earlier. But no. I was 18 at the first concert my mother hadn't escorted me to, painfully shy, basically me, and managed to make an even bigger doof of myself. Anyway, jump forward 7 years to what would turn out to be Gene's final tour ever. Opening night was in my hometown, so my dad, unbeknownst to me, sent a card backstage yet again and, more importantly, once again insisted that I would be the one who would love it if Gene could sing In Love Again. The card was read out, but when Gene got to the part about the song, he observed, "She's always asked for that song." Now, I would be shocked to learn that he remembered that previous request, so I'm a little daunted by the concept of how many repeat letters my dad sent in the interim. Regardless, Gene completely unexpectedly then sang an amazing off-the-cuff a cappella verse and partial chorus of the song, which the audience joined in with. I was so torn between being embarrassed and over the frickin' moon you couldn't believe. The next day or so, he mentioned on the forum that he enjoyed singing it so much that he wanted to include it in a future tour. The sad irony is that had my father not continuously insisted that I wanted to hear that song, I probably never would have known just how much I really wanted to hear it. I mean, holy crap, can you imagine just how awesome Maurice Merry's arrangement would have been?
Tutto un tratto si è deciso a svelare il suo segreto e m'ha detto palpitando io mi sono innamorato.
Innamorato is a quintessentially Italian song, uplifting and perfectly emulating the excitement and feeling of falling in love. Both predominantly English and predominantly Italian versions are interchangeable, but there is a clearer sound quality and fractionally faster pacing that makes the single release much more appealing to me personally.
I am in love, I am in love, I am in love again. Innamorato, innamorato, the flame of love is glowing again. And all the bloom, and all the spring, and all the game to lose or win. I have found, and all the sound, and all the song to sing for you.
Gene may have been known as the Prince of Pain because of how well he sang heartbreaking songs, but on the flip side, the one thing few recognise is that when he sang something with a positive message, you couldn't help but want to celebrate along with him.
If I didn't have a dime and I didn't take the time to play the jukebox, oh, Saturday night would have been a sad and lonely night for me.
So, here we are. I've listed the most moving, heartbreaking, uplifting and unavoidably catchy tracks that are near and dear to my heart. But a number one is a song that has been my all-time favourite since the first time I ever heard it, despite the fact many might consider it to be quite run-of-the-mill. Composed by Russell and Medley, it struggled to peak at 58 on the US Billboard chart, with no other international success. And if the surprisingly bland covers by the likes of Daniel O'Donnell, Albert West and the Cats were to be believed, you'd assume it's an off-key, monotonous ditty. But it most definitely is not. Yes, it's quiet, understated, but as Mr. Pitney and the enjoyably diverse versions by Jackie Edwards, the Furies and even the Dutch Coriander Records prove, a lot can be done with it if put in the right hands.
Neath the moon we walk and walk and talk of love, and then we kiss.
What Gene manages to do in all three English, Spanish and Italian versions is expertly waltz his smooth vocals across the shifting musical accompaniment, never becoming too dramatic or generally too much for what the song requires. Even his live renditions grew in intensity as the music and backing vocals swelled, but never went too far overboard.
Yo ya lo pensé y sé que no podré vivir sin ti, mi amor.
It's a very melodic song that almost feels like a lullaby, whilst also being one I love to put on at top volume. I'm pretty sure I remember Mr. P saying once in an interview or a fan club newsletter or something that during the recording session the guitarist was wearing a ring that kept hitting the acoustic's body, giving the song a much more individual sound. I don't know if I've got that right, but I wouldn't be surprised, as it's all the little things that contribute here to the whole that make it the masterpiece that it is. You take away even one of those elements and it becomes something different, dare I say something less.
Now with every sweet caress, oh my darling, how I bless that little jukebox. Oh, love songs that they sing wouldn't mean a single thing, even
one thing Gene's live performance ever taught me though, it's that the original desperately needs his whistling on it. I cannot stress how many great tracks from Gene's discography miss being included, either because of space, my self-imposed guidelines, or, in a couple cases, the fact they reminded me too much of others featured. For example, If I Never Get to Love You has a rhythm as catchy to tap along to as If I Didn't Have a Dime, Trans-Canada Highway has echoes of Last Chance to Turn Around, and Think of Us, for some reason, reminds me of Love Grows. Others will be highlighted as we go through these videos, but please do check out more if your interest has been even slightly piqued by what has been listed. And, of course, remember that this is a very personal list. If anybody watching has their own favourites, please share them in the comments, regardless whether it's a popular one or a song that everybody else says they hate. Actually, I'd especially love to hear about those. Otherwise, I have to confess I don't know how best to end this video. Working on it has been such a long process and so emotionally taxing that getting to this point has left me absolutely drained and lost for words. If you're a fan, don't forget to check out and support some of the great hard work other fans out there in Pitneyville are doing through websites and social media groups, etc. to keep Mr. P's memory alive. I'm currently in the process of completely overhauling my own Rockville Rocket fan site and hope to finish that soon. But again, no guarantees on time frame. For now though, peeps, please take care. And I look forward to seeing you again somewhere down the line. Bye.
Io non ho e tu lo sai, un soldino per suonare il mio jukebox. Oh, tristi sarò, se stasera non potrò rivedere gli occhi blu e quella vita che tu che di sempre siamo a me quando viene per sentire il mio jukebox.